Welcome to Crossville Profiles, a venture about the people, pride, and progress of the Cumberland Plateau.
Welcome to Crossville Profiles. I'm Beth Davis with the Cumberland County Mayor's Office, and today on our show we have Harley Cooper and Britt Hancock from the Cumberland County Playhouse, and we're going to be talking about their upcoming show, Little House on the Prairie, the musical. So thanks, guys, for being on our show.
Thank you for having us.
And so, Little House on the Prairie, the musical. Tell us about that. Like, what makes it a little bit different? Tell us about Little House on the Prairie, the musical.
Well, it's just how it sounds, really.
Yeah.
It's based on the books, more so than the TV series. All the books by Laura Ingalls Wilder, set to music.
Oh, wow.
So, there may be a situation, and in the beginning, Almanzo, for example, who's one of the characters, he's wanting to get his land office. They're saying that he's too young to get his land from the land office, and they're saying he's too young. So he sings a song called Old Enough. So it's really just getting out the emotions a little bit further with music.
That'll be great. That'll be a great play on that.
Yeah.
It'll be something different. Because, we've all read the books and we watch the show or whatever, so that'll be great. And will we still see the same familiar characters and storyline?
A lot of similar ones. It's a musical, so it's 2.5 hours versus a 9-book series.
Right.
And 9 seasons of the show? 8 or 9 seasons of the show?
I can't remember.
So I start off at 12, 13 years old, and we end the show at 18 when she gets married.
Okay.
So it's covering a span of quite some years. So you do have some of the familiar happenings that go on and things that you are familiar with from the TV show, familiar relationships more so than familiar storylines, I would say.
Okay.
But it is a lot of the same notable characters and situations.
You've got the Ingalls family, of course, and it really follows their story moving out west and finding their land and homesteading and all of that.
Right.
But you've got Nellie Olson, so the fun character Nellie Olson that we love to hate, that Laura and Nellie have such a great rivalry throughout the show, and fun characters like that.
And so it's based on a true story, the original Little House and so of course we have all the books and all the all the TV shows, but what makes this telling of it unique? Other than music, is there a...
I think it's an interesting combination of both. Because of the way the story has to be told in such a short period of time. It is interesting. There are several direct quotes from the books, because I had actually never read the series. I don't know how I missed it in my childhood. I just never read it. So I've been reading it during the process, and I've been dog-earing every page that has a direct quote from the show. But it is interesting because it was written in the early 2000s, so it's a little bit of a different Laura, a little bit stronger, because of course the books when she was alive in the 1800s, she was a little bit more demure, and then you have the show, she's a little bit more snarky, a little bit more into it. But she's still kind of got her girly aspects, but I think Laura in the show kind of doesn't come into her girly side or womanhood until a little bit later. She remains kind of spunky for a long time. So less of that demure and put together is in there. So it's just moving a little bit forward, like we move forward as a society.
That's cool. And well, is that one of the challenges that you have, bringing this beloved storyline to life?
Yes.
And is that one of the challenges, or are there other challenges too?
That's definitely one. I don't know about for you, but trying to read the books and trying to watch the show and knowing that so many people have such a love and are so familiar with that material, to try to find how to make both of those Lauras work with the Laura that's in the script in 2.5 hours.
And live up to that.
So trying to pay homage to both of those materials that people are so familiar with, but also make her true to the script I have and true to who I am as an actor. So it's challenging anytime you play someone iconic in any situation, trying to make sure you're being true to yourself, but also being true to what people know and love.
Exactly. That is a fine line. But that's what makes the Cumberland County Playhouse so great. So.
Well, thank you.
But so the musical is a fairly new. How did Cumberland County Playhouse, what was the journey for that to come here?
It was produced first about 10, 12 years ago at the Paper Mill Playhouse in New Jersey. And then they went on a national tour after that with Melissa Gilbert, who played Laura in the TV series as Ma.
I think I read
So that was a big deal. And then after that, the writers wanted to kind of revamp it and work out a lot of the kinks that they may have found out on tour. And so they had approached Jim Crabtree about 10 years ago to be able to produce it and come in and rework the show. They got busy with other projects at the time, so it kind of fell through. But then we ended up getting it now, which we're really excited about.
That's an interesting. That's great. Well, we have a lot more questions, but we're going to have to take a short break, and we'll be right back with Crossville Profiles.
Welcome to the Crossville Cumberland County Tourism Channel. If you would like to see your business, organization, or event on this channel, please call 931-484-4546.
Welcome back to Crossville Profiles. We've been speaking with Britt and Harley from the Cumberland County Playhouse, and we're talking about Little House on the Prairie, the musical. And we were talking about the challenges with bringing it to the stage and for it to be a musical. But let's talk about the challenges of doing like an unknown show or this fairly new show. Like, what are the challenges with that?
I think the biggest thing was that there was no soundtrack. Usually there's an original Broadway cast recording.
Of course, yeah.
So you're familiar with the songs. You have a reference to listen to.
Yeah.
This we had nothing.
Yeah.
But so it was a little more challenging learning the music because it's not something you can just play in your car and listen to over and over.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Definitely
the same
That
one.
was the biggest
for
I
me.
think.
It's hard.
And so the characters that you two play, your Pa and your Laura. So some of the most famous father-daughter duo. How was that? How did you channel your inner 1800s to do that?
Well, this is Britt's fourth time playing my dad.
I think so. Yeah.
So y'all have that down pat.
We've done that before.
Yep.
Britt says thanks.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, we're close. We're friends. So it's that makes it helpful. I fully trust him on stage. So we just have fun together and we work through in rehearsal, and then it's fun. It's nice when you trust anyone you work with, that you can be vulnerable and have fun and know that they're going to be there right there with you the whole time. So
And Laura and Pa are so similar. They're both kind of restless spirits, you know, which it's fun to play, especially in the first couple of scenes that we do together. Laura just, we're going out west and she can't wait to go and Pa can't wait to go. Ma's the one that's saying, we need to be a little more conservative. We need to protect the girls. And they're like, let's just go. But Pa ends up being the voice of reason to her in one of the first songs that I sing to her called Prairie Moves, telling her that it's okay to stay in one place. It's okay to have roots, but they are definitely kindred spirits, which makes it a lot of fun.
Oh, good. Okay, so speaking of the music, tell us about some of the music that's going to be in the show. Can you give us an insight on some of that?
It's really kind of grand, sweeping.
Yeah, it's
music.
actually, the composer is a woman that typically writes film scores. So it's interesting. It did make it very difficult to learn as a vocalist because there's a lot of really interesting rhythms and a lot of really interesting intervals throughout that were difficult without a soundtrack to learn.
Yes.
But it does give a very good sense of any time passage, emotions, seasonal changes. With doing a show that takes place over such a long period of time, the music really does become that element that shows like it's been 3 months, it's winter now, it's spring now, and the composer really does have such talent for bringing that across.
And it really helps tell the story.
And most of the show is underscored. Even when we're not singing, there's music playing underneath us, which helps to set the mood. We have a 10-piece orchestra that's fantastic with violin and cello and a lot of instruments that we don't normally have.
And that's all back.
Oh, yeah.
All of that's back.
Yes.
That's great. That's good. So each of you, what are some of your favorite moments of the show? Do you have a favorite moment?
One of my favorite moments is the song that I mentioned earlier, "The Prairie Moves," that I sing with Laura. That sort of really just sets the tone of our relationship and of the show. And then there's a song called "I'll Be Your Eyes" that Laura and her sister Mary sing when Mary gets scarlet fever and she goes blind. So Laura comes in and basically says, "I'll be your eyes.
Oh,
I will
yeah.
see everything for you." And it's a gorgeous duet. And Harley and Heather McCall that plays Mary. I think it's probably one of my favorite moments in the show, listening to them sing.
That's a fun one. That's probably one of my favorites. And then, even though it makes me so nervous every single night, but my opening number is Thunder, and I run on stage by myself, and it's that like excitement of like what's unknown, what's out there, and it's just fun because it's that first just big burst of energy in the show, and it's
gets everything started.
Once that goes, it's like, okay, we're Laura, we're here, we're on this train.
That's
And
cool.
I do love it, even though every single night I'm nervous about it. Anytime you start a show is nerve-wracking, but it's also it's a challenging song, but I mean I love to sing it every night. And then probably I'll Be Your Eyes is another one. Heather, I love performing with her as well, and like another family connection. The Ingalls family in general, like we had a lot of rehearsals together, of course, and of course, especially Act 1 is very centered around our relationship. So everyone, the family, we have Heather McCall, we have Wesley Webster playing Ma, we have two young Carries, Mihaela, I don't know her last name.
Lantry, Mihaela Lantry and Sarah Hedrick.
And so they alternate performances, but just it's a nice little tight-knit group, so
That's
getting
great.
to perform any duet with any of them. And Wild Child, I do love Wild Child too.
Oh, yes, Wesley sings
So-
a song called Wild Child to Harley at the end that's just tearjerker.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. But, and we're almost out of time, but let's tell the audience what's the dates of the show and then how we can get tickets.
It's running now through October 28th.
October 28th.
And you can call the box office at 931-484-5000 or
Okay.
visit our website at ccplayhouse.com.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being
Thank
on the
you.
show. I'd also like to thank the staff and students at Gateway Productions, and thank you for watching Crossville Profiles.